To be or not to be? Hola everyone, welcome back to my channel. Me llamo Marsha Robinson Smith. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the verbs ser, estar, and tener. You're going to learn what these three verbs have in common, how and when to use them, as well as getting some tips and vocabulary to improve your Spanish. Please stick around. Vamos a continuar. Now, here are some tips to help you improve your Spanish. Unos consejos para ayudarte a mejorar tu español. Here we have the first tip, which is to practice your grammar. And this means that you're going to apply grammar rules. For example, prepositions that follow a verb. And when we say prepositions that follow a verb, there are verbs that have set prepositions. Okay, for example, disfrutar goes with the preposition de. So we always say disfrutar de, followed by the noun. Okay, as well as ir, the verb ir is the preposition a always follows. And we say hablar con. Okay, as well as salir para. All right, so know your tenses, moods, purpose, context, and conjugations. Number, gender agreement of adjectives and nouns, etc. Number 2, study your pluralization rules. Know your articles and the genders of nouns. Articles help you to identify the gender of a noun. Número 3. Number 3. Know your vocabulary or build your vocabulary. All right, and this includes knowing your synonyms and antonyms. All right, so a continuar. Number 4, differentiate. You should be able to differentiate between words in English that are said in different ways or have different meanings in Spanish. Example, the word time. We have several ways of saying time in Spanish. La vez, la hora, and el tiempo. But they're not used synonymously. Okay? We have to take, for example, and to express to take, there are two verbs that we can use, tomar and llevar. To know, saber, conocer. For, por, para. To be, ser, estar, and sometimes tener. A continuar. In addition to this, you need to know your parts of speech. So there are 5 essential parts of speech that you should know, and these are nouns, whether they be thing, place, person, including numbers, dates, time, etc. Pronouns, subject pronouns. Now, subject pronouns are the doer of the action, and we know that subject pronouns are pronouns that replace a noun in a sentence. All right, for example, instead of writing Mary, we can say she. So we substitute she for Mary or with Mary. All right, we have our verbs, and verbs can be action words or words that show state of being, like the to be verbs. Okay, we call them being verbs. We have our object pronouns, and these can be direct or indirect, singular and plural. So we have the singular form. The singular forms of indirect and direct pronouns are me, te, lo, la, le, and the plural nos, los, las, les. We also have the singular forms of subject pronouns as well as plural forms. Okay, so the singular forms are yo, tú, usted, él, and ella. Plural forms, nosotros o nosotras, ellas, perdón, y ustedes. A continuar. So, in addition to knowing your grammatical rules and so on, there are some things that you need to be aware of. And these are the things that, as learners of Spanish, we tend to make mistakes when it comes on to words that look similar in both Spanish and English, and we tend to think that they mean the same. Now, these are words that we call false cognates, and we know that cognates are words that have the same origin and they mean the same thing in both languages. All right, but there are words that appear to be so, but they are not, and they convey something differently. So we are going to be looking at some of these now. So the first one we're going to be looking at is argument. In English, argument, of course, yes, but in Spanish we have this word argumento. This is a false cognate if you're trying to convey the English meaning, which is argument. No, argumento significa plot or line of reasoning. All right, so the plot of a story, argumento. But the correct word to use is discusión. All right, for argument. Now let's look at the other one, cartoon. Cartón. Many of us may think that, yes, this is a Spanish word for cartoon, pero no es así. The correct expression is dibujo animado. Cartón, on the other hand, means box. Okay, box. Now let's look at the other one, carpet. Many a time we may see carpeta and think it is carpet, pero no es así. The correct word to use is tapete o alfombra. Carpeta, on the other hand, means folder. Conductor. And we have the false cognate conductor. Conductor in Spanish is director de orquesta. Exit, éxito, no es así. The correct word is salida. Salida means exit. Éxito significa success. What about idiom? Do you think it's idioma? No. The correct expression is modismo. Idioma, on the other hand, means language. Embarrassed? Embarazada? No way. Avergonzado or avergonzada. Embarazada, on the other hand, means pregnant. So to say embarrassed, it's avergonzado o avergonzada. All right, a continuar. What about record? Recordar? No way. Grabar? Sí. Recordar means to remember. So always remember, if you want to convey the meaning to record in Spanish, we use the verb grabar, not recordar, which means to remember. And the other one, Educated. Educado? No. Es culto. Educado has to do with manners, okay, or being polite. Pero culto is the correct expression to be used for educated. A continuar. Now here we have some more fake friends, amigos falsos. All right. Now the first one, gracious. Do you think it's gracioso? No way. The correct word is cortés or amable or gentil. What about introduce? Introducir? The correct word is presentar. So if you're introducing someone or you're introducing yourself, we use the verb presentar. Introducir means something else. Actually, introducir means to lead to make known by way of announcement, recommendation, or act. And oh, I didn't look at gracioso. Gracioso means funny. All right? Yes. What about horn? Do you think it's horno? No way. The correct word is cuerno. Horno, on the other hand, means oven. Okay? Sensible, sensible. Ha! You better think again. No, the correct word is sensato or prudente. Sensible actually means sensitive, right? Arena, arena, no. Estadio. Arena means sand. Casual. Do you think it's casual? No. Casual means informal or occasional. So the correct expressions we may use for casual are fortuito or ocasional. What about salad? Salado? Think again. It's ensalada. Salado, on the other hand, means salty, savory, or salted. Pie, you say pie? No. Everybody should know this by now. Pie means foot. So, what is pie in Espanol? In some regions, they say pastel. In Spain, they say tarta. Other Hispanic, Latin American countries say torta. In the Caribbean and some Central American countries, I think they also say pay, which is P-A-Y. And some countries too use empanada. All right? Now let us look at fin. Do you think it's fin? Oh no. Fin? You know, fin means end. So it is aleta. Okay? Involve, envolver? No. Envolver actually means to wrap. So the correct word is involucrar. Mayor, you say mayor? No way. The correct expression is alcalde. And mayor means measure. Okay? All right. Let's continue. So we are going to now look at some acronyms for using the verbs ser, tener, and estar. So we have looked at the tips to improve your vocabulary. Now we are going to explore the verbs that this video is really about. Okay? So we are now going to delve into tener, ser, and estar. So the first thing we're going to look at is how to conjugate these verbs before we look at their usage. And we are going to be focusing on 3 tenses. So we're looking at the present tense, preterite and imperfect tenses. All right? A continuar. So first we have estar. So we look at the present tense of estar. Yes, and of course all three verbs are irregular verbs, right? And we know tener is what we call a go verb. Yes, because in the present tense, the yo form, the verb changes to tengo. All right, and we don't say teno, we say tengo. So we add go to the stem. All right, so estar. So the present tense of estar is estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. And you should know the pronouns, the subject pronouns for these different forms of the verb. So the first person, yo, second person, tú, and that is a familiar form of you, because remember there are two ways of saying you in Spanish. We have tú and usted, okay, and that's in singular forms. Está, él or ella, he or she, and we also have the polite usted, you, which works with this verb as well. Okay, so él, ella, usted, está. Nosotros, first person plural, we. Okay, nosotros o nosotras, and third person plural, ellos o ellas, they. Okay, as well as you all, second person plural, ustedes. Okay, you all. So that's the present tense. Preterite, estuve, estuviste, estuvo, estuvimos, estuvieron. There's a change in the stem. All right. Imperfect, estaba, estabas, estaba, estábamos, estaban. Now let us look at the verb ser. Present tense of ser, soy, eres, es, somos, son. Preterite, fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. Imperfect, era, eras, era, éramos, eran. Present tense of tener, tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tienen. Preterite, tuve, tuviste, tuvo, tuvimos, tuvieron. Imperfect, tenía, tenías, tenía, teníamos, tenían. So only in the imperfect tense it looks regular, like, you know, typical ER or IR ending verbs. Okay, right, the stem doesn't change and the endings, as we know, ia, ias, ia, iamos, ian. Okay, and that's for ER and IR verbs in the imperfect tense. And for AR verbs, it's aba, abas, aba, abamos, aban. And the same thing applies with the verb estar. It is regularized in the imperfect tense. Okay? Now, vamos a continuar, and we are going to now look at some acronyms to learn when to use these three verbs, because remember what they have in common, as we mentioned earlier, to be or not to be. It's not Shakespeare now. To be. So yes, that's what they have in common. Of course, tener sometimes means to be, and you're going to see that. We know that ser and estar mean to be, but they are not used the same way. Okay? Alright, so let us explore that some more. Vámonos! Okay, so as was mentioned previously, we are now going to delve into how and when to use these verbs by learning three acronyms we can use to remember, okay, their usage. So let's look at the first one, which is ser, and for the verb ser, and that's doctor. All right, doctor. The second one, estar, and that's place for estar, okay? And the third one, P, as in the grain, the pea grain, right? So, doctor for ser, place for estar, and P for tener. Let's continue to see what these signify. A continuar. So the first acronym we'll be looking at is ser, okay? Then we will be looking at estar and then tener. So ser, the acronym is doctor. The D stands for description, O occupation, C characteristics, T time, the other O origin, and the R relation or relationship. Estar, position, the P in place, location, that's the L, action, that's the A, condition, that's the C, and emotion for the E. Now for tener, physical needs, the P in the acronym P, emotional states for the E, and age for the A. All right, so when we are talking about physical states using a noun, we use tener. When we are talking about permanent quality of a person or thing, we use ser. But temporary state of a person or thing, we use the verb estar. All right? So, a continuar. Remember now, doctor, place, P. You can stop and make note, or you can screenshot. Okay, take notes of these, students. Now we are going to look further into the usage of these three verbs. Now let us see how to use them. This verb is ser. Uses of ser. So we use ser when we want to identify a person or thing, when we want to talk about permanent qualities or characteristics, talk about professions, relationships, discuss nationality and origin, talk about dates and venues of celebrations, to discuss time, to talk about as possession. So now we're looking at the first one, the first letter in the acronym doctor, and that is D, description. So for example, you're describing a place. So let's look at this one. La Torre Eiffel es magnífica. Second one, occupation. El señor David es cirujano. The next one, characteristics. Let's look at this example. Samoya es negra y amable. Time. Son las 8:30. El concierto es ahora. Next one, the next O, which is origin. Example, Usain Bolt es de Jamaica. Es jamaicano. And the last one, relationship. Selena Gomez era la novia de Justin Bieber. Alright, so remember, description, occupation, characteristics, time, origin, relationship. That has to do with the verb ser. You may make notes of these, please. You can pause your video and do a screenshot, or you can take notes, whatever you prefer to do. Now we are going to be looking at the verb estar. Uses of the verb estar. So, estar expresses how or where a person or object is, how someone feels, or how he or she is stable in their existence in a certain setting, circumstance, or state. It also expresses variable conditions or states. It is used with expressions like bien, mal, cerca, and lejos. Okay? It talks about location in time. It is used with the gerund to form the progressive tenses. So let's go back to here. It's used with expressions like bien, mal, cerca, and lejos. So yes, of course, estar, you never see ser being used with bien, okay? Or cerca, lejos, or mal. All right? And these are fixed expressions with the verb estar. Okay? Vamos a continuar. Now it's time to see how we use the verb estar. Okay? We're going to see estar in usage. So, the P in place position. Let's look at an example for each letter in the acronym, okay? The acronym place. So position. El muchacho está de pie. El muchacho está de pie. Next one, location. Los muchachos están en la clase. Los muchachos están en la clase. So it shows where the boys are. Action. Miguel está paseando al perro. So when we're speaking in the active voice of the verb, which do we use? We use estar and not ser. Okay? All right. The C now. Condition. Example. Ejemplo, no me siento bien, estoy enferma. And if it were a male, estoy enfermo. So condition. All right? Physical condition there, how one is feeling. Emotion. El abuelo está orgulloso de su nieta. El abuelo está orgulloso de su nieta. So how the person feels, you know, emotionally, the excitement there, right? The grandfather is proud of his granddaughter. A continuar. Tener as a being verb. When do we use tener as the verb to be? So although tener means to have or to possess, some circumstances it also means to be. We use the verb tener as to be when describing how we are feeling right now. Another thing we need to note as well, unlike estar, tener is used with a noun to talk about an emotional state or physical condition, and we also use tener when we are talking about our age. So now we are going to see the verb tener in action as a being verb. So remember the acronym P. The P stands for physical needs. Now let's look at some examples of this. Luisa tiene mucho frío. Tengo mucha hambre. Quiero algo de comer. Emotional state. El gato le tiene miedo al perro. The cat is afraid of the dog. And the last one, age. Mi abuela tiene 60 años. So remember, P stands for physical needs, emotional state, and age. And it's important to note, students, that when we are talking about physical needs, for example, if we want to say, I am hungry, or he or she is hungry, or he or she is cold, whatever, hot, etc. Unlike estar that uses an adjective, right? Tener uses a noun, so we use tener with the noun. to express these conditions. All right. Whereas estar uses adjectives, so estar enfermo, etc. Okay, emotional state and age. So that's where tener comes in. Now we are going to be looking at some expressions with ser and estar, and you need to know these expressions so you can improve in your writing and speech. So let's look at ser and estar. Okay, ser aburrido, to be boring, okay? But estar aburrido means something else, to be bored, okay? To be bored. So when you're describing somebody, a characteristic of a person, he or she is boring, está aburrido, aburrida, we use ser. But if you are feeling that way, if you feel bored, you use estar, as in I am bored, estoy aburrido, or estoy aburrida. So estar aburrido, to be bored. Next one, ser bueno, to be good, characteristic. Estar bueno means to be tasty or attractive. So when we're talking about food or something, we use estar bueno, so the meaning changes to be tasty or attractive, something looking good in appearance. All right, not in characteristic, as in a quality, I should say, a quality. Ser cansado, to be a tiring person, but estar cansado means to be tired, okay? To be tired. I'm tired. You're expressing how you're feeling there, your physical condition or state. I'm tired, right? You're not always tired. You realize that? Then you see how fitting it is to use estar, right? Temporary conditions, or states, yes. All right. Next one, ser grave, to be serious. Estar grave means to be seriously ill. Ser listo, to be clever. Estar listo means to be ready. Okay? Estoy listo. I'm ready. Estoy listo para examen. I'm ready for the exam. Estoy listo para ir. I'm ready to go. All right. Ser malo means to be bad. Pero estar malo means to be ill, to be sick. Ser orgulloso, to be conceited or vain, a cocky or conceited person. But estar orgulloso means to be proud, when you're proud of someone, okay? Ser moreno, so ser orgulloso is describing someone's characteristic or quality, all right? But estar orgulloso, how the person feels, I'm so proud. Estoy orgullosa de ti. I'm proud of you. Ser moreno, to be dark-skinned. Estar moreno, to be tanned. Next one. Ser pálido means to be pale-skinned, but estar pálido means to be pale. As in, when someone looks pale, you look pale. When you're not feeling well, you have that pale look on your face. Yes. As opposed to when your skin looks pale, as in the appearance, the color. Yeah. Ser pesado, to be heavy, but estar pesado means to be tiresome. Ser rico, to be rich. Estar rico means to be yum yum, tasty. Ser seguro, to be safe. Pero estar seguro means to be certain, okay? Or to be sure. And ser verde, to be green, as in the color green. But estar verde means to be unripe. So when something is not ripe, we say it's green. So we use está verde en este caso. All right? Ser viejo, to be old. But estar viejo means to look old. Ser vivo, to be sharp. Pero estar vivo means to be alive. I'm alive. Right, it means to be alive. Now let's look at expressions with el verbo tener. A continuar. Some expressions with tener. So we have tener dash años. This means to be dash years old. For example, tengo 14 años. I'm 14 years old. Okay, so we use tener, number, then años to express our age. Okay, tener calor means to be hot. Tener frío means to be cold. Tener hambre, to be hungry. Tener sed, to be thirsty. Tener sueño, to be sleepy. Tener miedo means to be frightened. Tener prisa, to be in a hurry. Tener suerte, to be lucky. Tener razón, to be right. Tener celos, to be jealous. Tener la culpa, to be guilty. So now, we have looked at how and when to use these three verbs, and we see what tener has in common with the other ser and estar. Now we are going to put what we have learned in practice, okay? So vamos a practicar. Alright, estudiantes, now we are going to be doing some practice. Vamos a practicar. We are going to be looking at the verbs ser, estar, and tener. You are going to be filling in the missing pieces, right? By choosing the correct verb where. Alright, in these sentences. So we're looking at a story, and of course we'll be looking at some sentence completion exercises. So here we go. Continuar. Alright, escribe la forma correcta de ser, estar o tener en los espacios. La visita a Cancún. Now students, just take a picture of this screenshot and fill in the missing verbs, of course, whether it be ser, estar o tener, and then we're going to see if what you have is what I have. Let's see how correct you are. Okay? Alright, so I'm giving you some seconds there to just screenshot that. So you can always pause the video and fill in the responses, and then you can play to see if you're correct or not. So, a continuar. So here we are with the responses de las respuestas, la visita a Cancún. Okay, so well done, bien hecho. If you have got it all right, and if you haven't got everything correctly, it's fine. You can always try again and just look to see the application and where you went wrong. So in the meantime, we are going to read the story, all right? So I want you to listen. Que escuchen bien, porfa. All right?
La familia Pérez está de vacaciones en Cancún. Son 6 miembros en total. El padre es Carlos y la madre es Lola. Sus 2 hijas son Luisa y Marisol, pero su hijo es Juan y la abuela es la señora Milady Torres de Pérez. Es la primera vez que la familia está visitando Cancún. Apenas viajan al exterior porque no tienen mucho dinero como sus vecinos para viajar con frecuencia. Además, la madre es muy supersticiosa y cree que tiene mala pata porque siempre cae enferma cuando vuela. También tiene miedo a los gatos negros. Ya está en cama porque no se siente bien por viajar. La abuela está muy cansada y los niños están en la carretera con su padre. Ahora, las niñas están mirando las vidrieras mientras Juan y su padre están a punto de tomar refrescos porque tienen sed. Mañana Se supone que la familia va a ir a la fiesta de la playa. Este evento es una de las fiestas en la playa más grandes. La fiesta tendrá lugar dentro de los 11 kilómetros entre Cancún y Punta Nizuc. Habrá competiciones de surf, música en vivo, concursos de frisbee y mucho más. Ojalá que la madre esté bien para que pueda disfrutar del evento con su familia. Si todo está bien, van a pasarlo bomba.
Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this story because I really put out a lot of effort and passion into this, and this was written with the intention for you to also learn some cultural notes too. Okay, all right, so you might be wondering about this expression tiene mala pata. It means to be bad lucky, as we'd say, or unlucky, right? You know, to be bad lucky, we say in Jamaica, right? Or the correct way is to be unlucky. All right, so that's what it means. Continuar.
La familia Pérez está de vacaciones en Cancún.
Actividad dos. As usual, screenshot. I'm giving you some seconds to do that. You can pause the video and fill in your answers. Okay? So 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Se acabó el tiempo. All right. So let's see what you have. Aquí tienen las respuestas. So, number 1, siempre tú tienes tanta suerte. No puedo creerlo. You're always so lucky, I can't believe it. Número 2, yo tengo prisa. No puedo esperarlo. I'm in a hurry, I can't wait for him. ¿Cuándo es el concierto? When is the concert? ¿A qué edad tenías cuando visitaste a tu abuelo en Cuba? La puerta está abierta. Puedes entrar. Manolo no es mi primo. Está tan grueso. John es abogado de profesión, pero por ahora está profesor. So we see a temporary condition here. John is not a teacher by profession, right? So it's not safe to say es profesor. He is just working as a teacher for now. He's not a teacher. Okay? So we say está profesor en este caso. Nosotros tenemos calor debido al clima. We are hot because of the weather. Mis primos están muy cansados y tienen hambre. My cousins are very tired and hungry. Ya estamos a 31 de mayo. ¿Cómo pasa el tiempo? Alright? It's already May 31. How time flies. Okay, so I hope that you have benefited from this video and that you've learned something. So students, remember, you can always go back, go through what you don't understand. You just continue, replaying and keep practicing, students. You can only get better. Remember, la práctica hace el maestro. So that's it for today's session. I hope that you have had a great time, because I've had a great time with you. I did enjoy my time with you. It was my pleasure. Fue mi placer estar con ustedes hoy. So continue practicing. All right? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That's it. Hasta la próxima vez. Ciao. This video was made using PowerPoint, and thanks to Yahenka Diaz for that lovely reading of this story. All right? Adiós. Hasta la próxima. Nos vemos. Goodbye.